Can you tell us some experiences about how the project has shaped up and where are we now?
Even a small mistake could have jeopardized the entire project. Maharashtra is moving ahead in a very transformative kind of infrastructure projects. There are almost 96 projects across 17 sectors costing 9 lakh crore rupees.
A stakeholder you found the most difficult to manage? Contractors, citizens or government departments?
This project had all the possible challenges any infrastructure project could have.
The toughest challenge you faced? Resettlement, safety or citizen protests?
You have to go beyond engineering and they are basically people management.
One word that describes your metro line journey. Good evening, Ashwini ji. Thank you first of all for joining this. And the reason we thought that this would be a better way to do it is because there are so many questions that people have apart from whatever is being done. So maybe I'll try and put some of them for you. So the infrastructure plan of Maharashtra seems like rolling out as if, one after the other big projects are coming out, whether it's the Navi Mumbai International Airport, the Coastal Road, the Mahasamruddhi Marg, and now the Shakti Peeth Expressway, the Worli Shivri Connector, the Thane Navi Mumbai International Airport Elevated Highway. And the Vadhavan Port, of course, all seem to be bringing Mumbai city to a global scale, formidable city. So what's been behind the rollout? If you can just share with us, what's the plan?
Thank you so much, Pratap ji, for having me here. Maharashtra has always been at the forefront of infrastructure development, and right from the mega projects taking care of the cities and metropolitan areas up to rural roads, Maharashtra has always been pushing infrastructure. And in past 8 to 10 years, we have seen many mega infrastructure projects rolling out, not only rolling out, but getting completed. Maharashtra has a vision. So today, we have said that by 2030 we'll be a $1 trillion economy, and by 2047 we want to be a $5 trillion economy. And we have Vikasit Maharashtra, Vikasit Bharat and Vikasit Maharashtra vision. That vision document is also under preparation. So that is one thing. So this kind of investment or this growth of economy would be possible with huge investments in infrastructure and development of infrastructure project. That is one aspect of it. Secondly, Maharashtra is already a highly urbanized state compared to, if you see the national figures, we are more than 50% urbanized, and that the pace of urbanization is increasing. So going forward, our cities need to be future ready, and they need to be in a position to accommodate so many people and give them employment. That is second point. Third is we are also getting geared up for the net zero vision, and we have a huge energy transition plan. And fourth important factor is, while Maharashtra is developed, but Maharashtra, there is still some regional disparity in development. So going forward, Maharashtra wants to have a balanced regional development. To achieve all these objectives, I think we need to focus infrastructure, and that is why Maharashtra is moving ahead in a very transformative kind of infrastructure projects which are coming up, and they are across all sectors. The Chief Minister's War Room, on our dashboard, there are almost 96 projects across 17 sectors costing 9 lakh crore rupees. Out of that, some 30 odd projects Chief Minister himself monitors on almost every 2 to 3 months, and they also amount to some 4.5 to 5 lakh crore rupees. They are across different sectors. So they are right from mega road projects, urban transport, that is metro rail network, the entire rural road network, the district road, other district road, that network also is to be concretized. Then many new airports which are coming up apart from the new Mumbai International Airport. Even across states, in every region, every district, there has to be airport. That kind of vision Maharashtra is doing. And ports. Port development is also our focus. So port like Vadhavan, that is now on Maharashtra's infrastructure list, which is being pushed. So infrastructure has always been our focus. And going forward, to really boost the economy and really to realize our vision of $5 trillion economy, Maharashtra needs to push infrastructure, and that is the goal of the government.
One of the projects, of course, very critical, which is going to transform Mumbai is the Mumbai Metro Rail. And you've been leading that project as well. So can you tell us some experiences about how the project has shaped up and where are we now? I think we have done 60 kilometers right now, and we just waiting for certain things to happen.
Mumbai's metro network, which covers the entire Mumbai metropolitan region, the entire length of this metro network is of about 340 kilometers. So out of that, 150 kilometers is already under construction. More than close to 90 kilometers is already commissioned, including or in the process of commissioning, including Metro Line 3. Recently, our ridership for the metro network has gone to 10 lakh passengers per day, which is very sizable, and that is growing very fast. Remaining 150 kilometers is under various stages of planning, tendering, and approvals. So next 6-7 years going forward, this entire network will get completed. And we are expecting that today suburban rail carries about 75 lakh passengers per day. So another 10 million passenger capacity, 1 crore passenger per day capacity is likely to be added by this metro network. And that is going to be the second largest metro network in India after Delhi. Most of the corridors are already under construction, but they need to connect to each other, because the network effect and shift from the vehicular traffic to metro would happen when that network effect is achieved. So that is happening. Underground metro project is Mumbai Metro Line 3 is an important corridor among these various corridors of Mumbai. And that corridor, which was one of the most difficult projects in the entire country, that is now almost close to commissioning. 2/3 of it we already commissioned. And the last leg of 11 kilometers with 11 underground stations is now fully ready and awaiting inauguration either by the end of this month or mid of next month.
So ladies and gentlemen, this Mumbai Line 3, I think is one of the most difficult kind of a project that has been undertaken, has got many facets. Once I had spoken to you earlier, and we'd like you to share with us, because there are so many aspects like resettlement and reconstruction and so many other things, because the line passes through such a populated area and with having old structures. And so I think it's a total study in all complexities of a project. Tell us something about that.
This line is a fully underground corridor of 30.5 kilometers, right from RAJVLR to Cup Parade. And it passes through one of the most densely populated areas of Mumbai, beneath old heritage structures, dilapidated buildings, high-rise buildings, earlier existing infrastructure projects. So we required to do about 56 kilometers of tunneling underneath these areas with 26 underground stations and one at-grade station. So doing such project in a city like Mumbai was quite audacious. And that too without disturbing the pace of the city, without creating any compromise to the safety of the buildings beneath which the project is happening. So that, as you said, this project had all the possible challenges any infrastructure project could have. And there was not a single inch of land which was readily available to take the tunnel boring machine down or to start construction. We had about 19 stations which are below the roads. So without stopping the roads, we had to construct them. The remaining 7-8 stations were beneath the buildings. So there we had to use this new Austrian tunneling methodology, which was very complicated. And our project also involved resettlement of around 2,400 slum structures and some 700 legal tenants. So that resettlement was also an issue. Plus, there were a lot of perceptional challenges, legal challenges. So the project has gone through all these challenges, and fortunately, now looking forward, that time these challenges were extremely daunting, and we thought they were unsurmountable. But as we moved ahead and kept on fighting, kept on addressing the challenges, the project has now achieved what it intended to achieve.
So Ashwini ji, as a project leader, what we understand is that when there are aspects connected to construction, that we understand. But when you have issues where there are people who protest, people who do not agree, despite the fact that you're from government, how do you manage? You got to take all the stakeholders along. So what do you do for that?
Infrastructure projects are always more engineering plus. So they don't limit, they are not limited to engineering. We have to go beyond engineering, and they are basically people management. So you have to manage all kinds of people, different stakeholders, right from the common people who get displaced because of the project, to political leadership, to various activists and media, common citizens who are not directly affected, but they get affected because so much of construction goes around, or the traffic gets affected. So the most important aspect is continuously engage with them, keep talking to them, understand what their issues are, and keep sharing information. I think the most important part of project management is transparency and giving real-time information to people. Because city like Mumbai, people themselves are very professional. Our citizens, the way Mumbai operates, people are very professional, they are very disciplined. But if we don't share information with them and they don't know what exactly is happening around them, then there is a problem. But I knew that if we are working in such close vicinity with the people, and we are going to be there for 7 to 8 years almost, that construction activities, some or the other format is going on. So then it is our bounden duty that keep them informed all the while in a very transparent way. And especially in underground project, what happens, nothing is visible. Whatever is happening is underground. We just have barricades, people get to see. So we made very effective use of social media platforms. We kept on sharing information by way of text, then photographs, videos, and people were always made aware what was happening. So despite the inconveniences which they suffered throughout this construction, they supported us. And plus, our ground team were always aware and sensitive of what was happening at the ground and keeping a touch. So, in terms of engineering, construction challenges were enormous because we had to do very, very safe construction, and even a small mistake could have jeopardized the entire project. So that was one part of it. And secondly, ensuring that the time and cost overruns they don't go beyond the limit. They are bound to be there in a brownfield project like Mumbai. And so when people protest or somebody wants a change in the alignment or they go to court, then we have to be always mindful of the fact that if we allow it to happen the way it is without intervention, then the project costs are going to skyrocket. So our attempt was every possible small even hindrance, we took it very seriously. We immediately engaged with people. Where the engagement failed and people approached courts, people went to litigations, that time we took litigations also very seriously. And we tried to approach the court in the most informed way, and we got these issues resolved. So I think you have to, this is a balancing act all the time. So you have to keep balancing that, keep your target always as your primary responsibility, that you have to achieve this. So much of investment is going, so we have to achieve it, and final product needs to be given to people. And on the way, whatever problems are coming up, take them seriously and deal with them in the all possible ways. That was the approach which we adopted.
Ashwini, we know that Delhi Metro had also like unsurmountable problems. And when Dr. E. Sridharan was actually executing that project, he had a direct hotline to the Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh then. What kind of support you have received? Because I'm sure you must have also reached such dead ends and such stumbling blocks.
Look, state government and the political leadership was always supportive, because past many years, certain projects are reviewed very regularly by Honorable Prime Minister as well as Honorable Chief Minister in the state. So this project was part of the Pragati portal, which Honorable Prime Minister reviews. And because of that, and because it was being reviewed very regularly, not only by the Prime Minister, but his office, Cabinet Secretary, many of our coordination issues with central government ministries, they could be easily resolved, because we need lands from many central government departments, NOCs, approvals from railways and others. So that was a smooth ride. And as far as state government is concerned, we were given a red carpet, I would say, because the then war room, we had raised all these issues, and all these issues got resolved in the meetings of the war room. So while we followed all the process with the department, but there was no delay. Simple thing, we needed so many government lands for the project. Most of them were temporarily, because it's an underground project, you restore the lands and give it back to them. Normal process in a government, if the land is to be given from one department to another, it takes years, because a lot of procedures to be followed. But in our case, state, in one of the war room meetings, it was decided that since this is a vital public project, approved by both the cabinets, the land, advance possession of the land would be given by the collector without even going for any process, while that process will go on as required, but immediately the advance possession is given. At one juncture, because of some political reasons, BMC's lands, their general body was not ready to give. And there was a problem. I tried my best to convince them. I went there, I attended all their meetings, I gave a presentation, explained everything. But everybody got convinced, but there was political reason. So what state government did? There was a provision in BMC Act. By using that provision, state government can overrule certain decisions and direct the municipal commissioner to, hand over, take that decision. That provision was never ever invoked since the inception of BMC. But we requested the government that use that provision and give us those lands. So they did it, and that was politically convenient to everyone, so that worked. So many such decisions were taken. Land acquisition was a very complicated process. The new Land Acquisition Act had just come, and nobody knew how it will work. So we devised a different process for ourselves. I went to my board, the board approved, and the state government also approved. So there were hundreds of such situations where we changed the regular process, where we sought a policy change from the government, and that was done. So project of this magnitude and this size cannot just happen without that kind of strong support from the government and a very strong political will, which we were fortunate to have with us from the state government.
Can you sketch an outline of how Mumbai would be maybe 5 years from now, given the transformative projects that have come about, and when all the metro lines start working? How do you think, for an audience, what kind of a city would Mumbai be?
I think if you take vision for next 5 years, Mumbai is going to be really a transformed city. We have already prepared a growth hub plan for MMR. So with the target of achieving $500 billion economy, and it has already identified certain projects and some policy shifts, because in order to achieve this target, we need to make some changes in the policy. And the most important aspect of this growth hub is all the completion of the infrastructure projects. So going forward, Mumbai city itself would have I'm talking about Greater Mumbai. It will have a metro network of about 150 kilometers, and part of it we have already achieved. So all these corridors, line 1 is already connected to line 3 and line 2 and line 7, but line 2 and 7 will get connected to line 3. Line 4 will get connected to line 3, and line 11 is also coming. Line 6 going to get connected. So it's going to be a beautiful public transport network, which is of world class, with a seamless kind of ticketing, because we are going to have, now also we have this National Common Mobility Card, which enables the passenger to easily switch from one metro to another without standing in the ticket queue. So these kinds of things are going to change the way Mumbai travels. And once the metro network is completed, a lot of, because if the metro station will be almost every 1 kilometer, probably your requirement of last mile connectivity will also go down substantially. That would lead to better pedestrian infrastructure. Government is also ensuring that the road infrastructure improves. So Mumbai will have a complete coastal link road right from South Mumbai up to Virar. And parts of it are already, like Mumbai's, the south part of coastal road is already done, and it has beautifully come up. And the further corridors are under construction or under planning. So entire planning is done up to Virar. So that is a coastal ring road. Apart from that, on the eastern side, we are going to have multimodal corridor. We are also having underground connectivity, which is mainly east-west connectivity. So from Borivali to Thane, a tunnel construction is already going on. Goregaon to Mulund tunnel as well as overbridge construction is going on. So there are many such projects. From Orange Gate to Mumbai Coastal Road, a tunnel construction is going on. So from all sides, on the outer side of the Mumbai city, both from east and west, so we are going to have a beautiful network of sea links, coastal roads as well as tunnels, which will serve as a ring road. So that will help us taking the through traffic outside Mumbai, and then from the internal traffic we'll have a beautiful public transport network. So that is going to change Mumbai a lot. Navi Mumbai airport is coming, it is about to get inaugurated. So from that perspective, the air traffic capacity is being built up. This Vadhavan port is going to serve Mumbai and the entire Maharashtra a lot. And that whole area around Vadhavan port is also getting, planned, and proper development is coming. And one last point, in New Mumbai side, along the airport, a lot of the land use planning is completely, under transformation. So both CIDCO, MMRD and MSRDC, these three planning authorities, so Naina, then the third Mumbai, and some area which is under MSRDC. So that is coming up with many big projects. And apart from that, recently we have this WAVE seminar where the entertainment industry got a boost. So Mumbai is going to be an epicenter for that industry. So a lot of new planning, new projects are being planned around that. MICE activity is also going to get encouraged. So I think there are, every sector, some or the other development is planned, and it is very meticulously and in a planned way it is being monitored. So I think Mumbai is on the verge of a complete transformation in next 4 to 5 years. That's what I can visualize.
So I think those of you who've come from outside Mumbai better pack your bags from there, and I think it's time to settle in Mumbai. It seems like the way the city is planned. Okay, now I have a rapid fire round with you. So one word that describes your metro line journey, Metro 3 journey.
It's a very, very interesting roller coaster ride. Roller coaster ride.
Roller coaster, okay. The toughest challenge you faced, resettlement, safety, or citizen protests?
I think resettlement. I would say resettlement, because that was very overwhelming.
Technology that impressed you the most during this project?
Pardon?
Technology that impressed you the most?
I think multiple technologies were used, but I was quite fascinated by the tunneling technology.
A stakeholder you found the most difficult to manage? Contractors, citizens, or government departments?
I think many of my contractor friends are in the audience, so I would say contractors were the most difficult to manage.
A decision you are proud you stood firm on?
I think there were many such. I won't be able to pinpoint any, because every stage we had some or the other issue, and I had to decide. So I'm probably proud of taking for all those decisions.
If you were to point out one, can you think of some?
There are many, but I think the way we remained stuck with the car depot location, I think that mattered a lot for the project in the end, because had we changed that location, the project would have lost its relevance.
The most inspiring metro project you have seen globally?
There are many, but I think I am most impressed by Tokyo Metro.
faster to execute, elevated metro or underground metro?
Underground is certainly difficult, but the speed of the project would depend on how you manage the project. So I would say more than faster, it is more difficult. Underground is more difficult.
If not civil services, what career would you have chosen?
No, I can't imagine now. At least at this juncture, I can't imagine.
The one leadership lesson Metro Line 3 taught you?
There are many, but I would say डटे रहो. Be firm and determined and keep pushing things.
Your dream infrastructure project for Maharashtra by 2040?
There are many, but I think Vadhavan Port would be something which I think I would be my dream. That because that's a very, very big project which is coming up.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashwinji.